Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. My name is Angie Urban, and I am part of the Settled Search team here at CUC. We are a church of many different theologies and identities, united by our shared commitment to building community, seeking inspiration, promoting justice, and finding peace. Please look around at the color-coded lanyards of your neighbors and be aware and respectful of other needs and boundaries. Continued masking is welcome here, but no longer required on Sundays. We are a congregation of all ages, which means we embrace all the noises and little disruptions our kids can bring on Sunday mornings. But we do invite you to silence your cell phones. As always, you're welcome to get a coloring kit in the back from the box of the entryway, just near where the lanyards are. And after the time for all ages, kids will be invited to head downstairs with their teachers for religious exploration. Whether this is your first Sunday with us or your 1,000th, whether you are here in the sanctuary or in Fellowship Hall or watching from afar, know that you are welcome here. And this service is here for you. May you find it in something that you need. If you want to follow along with the written order of service, you can find that link just below this video on our website. And if you want to chat with your fellow UUCUC members, you can find the live stream chat box on our YouTube page. Remember that there is still time to send in your joys or your sorrows to be read aloud later in the service. You can email your message to joysandsorrows@uucuc.org. Or, if you're here in the sanctuary, there are note cards in the pews for handwritten joys and sorrows, which the ushers will collect later in the service. Our land acknowledgement, which we integrate into every service, takes on special resonance as a practice that connects us to the history of this place and our own responsibilities as stewards and members of a wider community, as stewards of the land. Here on Green Street, we worship on the lands of the traditional territories of the Kaskaskia, Miamia, Bodwe-Wadmi, Kickapoo, Peoria, and Ochet-e-Shakowin, the original nations of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. Wherever you are this morning, I invite you now to take a breath and consider the history and the peoples of the land you are resting on. May we always remember where we are, the sacredness of this place, and the many people, human and otherwise, who belong to it. This morning is the second in a series of the Candidate Week services, and one that we on the search team have anticipated for so long. As we welcome our ministerial candidate once again, Beth Munholland. You have heard from Beth via her welcoming video and at last week's service entitled Going Fast and Going Far, the Power of Community. And this morning, we are honored to have her here to share her ministerial gifts with us again, with the theme of the service, Don't Show Up Empty-Handed. And now we'll begin our chalice lighting. Whenever we gather with the light of flaming chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition, to mark out this time as special and sacred, if you have a chalice at home or a candle, I invite you to light it now. We'll light our chalice this morning, and you can read along with us if you wish. For the gift of this day and for our community of spiritual nurture and compassion, we give thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul.
For this hymn, 404, it is unfamiliar, so Juan's going to play through it fully, so feel free to sit until that's over so you can soak in all of the pitches.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's so fabulous to be with you all again today. Folks keep asking, how was your week? How are you doing? Are you exhausted? And the answer is yes, please. Yep. What is your name? Bronson. Everyone, you could not all hear Bronson, but Bronson had a really good week, and he made a fabulous observation that the flame is like dancing. And Bronson is now my favorite for that observation. That is true. And Bronson, you did not know this, but we're going to close with a song that's called Let It Be a Dance. And it's like he was planted, but he wasn't. But my heart, like that flame, is dancing with joy because I am so excited to be with you. Because you know what, Bronson? I also have had a really great week. And yes, it has been exhausting, and I did take a couple of naps. And I'm just so filled with joy to be here. If you did not know, April is National Poetry Month, and I said this to some group earlier this week, but poetry is my absolute favorite art form since I was a child. And so we are going to do a time for all ages today, and I'm going to read a book, but it is a poem. It is a poem book, and it is by the fabulous poet Amanda Gorman. Some of you may have seen Amanda Gorman share a brilliant poem at the inauguration a few years ago. And so if any of the young people, both young in body, like Bronson here, or young in heart, want to come forward, we are going to read together this fabulous book called Change Sings. You do? Do you want to help me read it? All right, you can think about it. You can come forward if you want. Also, I like to do things by invitation, and I remember both being joy-filled as like a 4-year-old to get up in church and sing, and also mortified sometimes to be asked to do that. Fabulous. When I used to be a teacher, Bronson, I would say that the front was wherever I happened to be. If I move in the back, we'll turn that into... Yes, what is your name? Theo? You do? At school you have a poster of Amanda Gorman? She's pretty great. Well, this is called Change Sings. So I've got a physical copy of it. We also have slides. So for anybody who honestly can't see me because I'm now on the floor, it's fine. And for those of us joining us online, you'll be able to also see some of the beautiful, beautiful paintings. So Change Sings. You all, clearly we are in synchronicity with each other, that so many of us have this book. You can thank, though, the fabulous Janet, is it Barrett Ravel or Revel? Ravel Barrett. I'm going to get her name backwards. She shared this with me, and I want to share it with you all today. So here's how it starts. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planet and the hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts, take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. Sometimes it does. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came, I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside me. Because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the waves starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? Theo said yes. That was fabulous. I think everyone here is maybe saying yes too, Theo. Yes, please. Everyone, Bronson says we should all say yes. Theo, you get one last comment, and then you all get to go downstairs and have fabulous religious exploration this morning. Theo wants me to open the book again. Yeah.
Is that an actual thing?
Oh, that mural? So Theo was looking at, for those in the room who maybe can see, this mural, and he wants to know, I don't know if this one specifically is, but I have, you like the rainbow? What's your name? Lucy. Lucy, I also like the rainbow in all kinds of ways. So thank you. I don't know if this one is Theo. That's a great question, but I know there are murals like this celebrating difference and change all over the country and world. And we could probably make a mural like that sometime, somewhere, if we want to. Okay, one more thing. Okay.
I found the people who were playing.
Oh, the instruments and stuff, yeah. Thank you all for engaging. You all are my favorites. You are showing all these grown-ups in the room how to engage in meaning making and exploration, so thank you. I'm going to invite you all and all of the volunteers who serve you to head on downstairs, and we'll see you later, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Yes, downstairs is the best. I own that. I acknowledge it.
So nice to see this place just packed. Thank you all for coming. My name is Chris Hanauer. I'm also a member of the search team. I'm here to offer our community matters and offertory. There's something happening after church, I think. I can't remember the detail. It'll come to me. Oh, that's right. Okay, so the search team invites your participation immediately following today's service, as close to 11:45 a.m. as we can make it, for the important congregational vote to call our next settled minister. We strongly encourage all who can attend in person to do so. If you are online and in town and want to come down, you can get here by 11:45. That would be great. But we also have the ability to take your votes and participation in the meeting over Zoom. And there will be information coming into your inbox in about 10 minutes with that link. And it's also on the church website at uucuc.org/special meeting. The one thing that we are hoping for those who are remote is that you can each be on your own device. It makes the vote taking much faster. As it says, if you have questions about this, please contact a member of the search team. It's a little late for that, but the email that goes out will have an email contact that you can reach out to if you're having problems. We would also like to highlight that there will be a Pathway to Membership class held next Saturday, May 6th, from 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Next Sunday's service on May 7th will be a special music service. Group performances include the choir, the kids choir, the UU horn band, where new member Danny Nutting, will play her flute for us as well. And a recording from a quartet of musicians, Jim, Linda, Steve, and moi, from a previous service. We will also be premiering a commissioned work by Amanda Udis Kessler called Onward, Cinquain, and Sonnet. I have to confess, Janet had to tell me how to pronounce Cinquain. We as Unitarian Universalists acknowledge that our circle of care doesn't stop at our church doors. We are deeply connected with the community we find ourselves in and to the wider world. Each Sunday, in recognition of our very real interdependence and reliance on each other, we pass the plate and share our offering with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. For our April Sundays, we are sharing our plate with the Champaign County Court-Appointed Special Advocates, or CASA, a local nonprofit that supports and advocates for children in foster care. The work they do provides stability, connection, and basic human kindness to kids who are going through some of the hardest months or years of their lives. You can give by text or through the online portal on our website, or if you are here in the sanctuary, the basket will be passed and checks can be made out to UUC. Half of what you give will go towards sustaining the work of this church. The other half will go directly to CASA. We invite you to give whatever is generous for you and know that anything you contribute will be gratefully received and put to use, helping make a real impact for people who need it. The basket will now be passed.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you makes you feel so small.
You can be amazing, you can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. But I wonder what would happen.
But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. I wanna see you, just wanna see you. I wanna see you, I wanna see you be brave. Show me your smile.
Everybody's been there, everybody's
Don't be unhappy, can't remember
for the fear
when
and done some
I
disappearing.
last saw you
Bow down
laughing.
to the night.
If this world makes you
Don't
crazy
run.
and you've taken
Just
all you
stop
can
holding
bear,
your
just
tongue.
call me up.
Maybe there's a way
I'll
out
be
of the
there.
cage where you live.
Call me
Maybe
up.
one of these days you can let the light in
Call
and
me
show
up,
me
come on. How big your brave is, say what you wanna say, and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave, what you wanna say, and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful, and I see your true colors shine.
and let the world
I see your true colors. You're beautiful like a rainbow. And I see your true colors. Let them shine. I see you. Just wanna see you. I wanna see you. I wanna see you be bright. I wanna see you. You're beautiful like a rainbow.
Thank you. That was fabulous. Thank you. That was a message itself. If you're following along in the order of service, you may have noticed that the reading today is listed as a poem called The Journey by Mary Oliver, which has been one of my favorite poems for about 20 years. But this morning I really felt moved to, this will be the only sports metaphor you ever get from me, to do an audible. And I am sharing with you instead of that fabulous poem, this poem by poet Chalon Harkin that is titled Ancestral Treasures. Your ancestors have passed down their wounds like a growing collection of gems for your inheritance. Don't resent this. They weren't ready to be mined and collected They weren't ready to be valued. You have the technology now. You know how to dig deep. You know how not to fear your worth. You know that within every bright, shining wound is a nugget of compassion, a jewel of wisdom. They have saved up for you. Now, feel deeply blessed to be driven finally into those inner tunnels of self and history. Cashing in on this trove in the sacred chest of your heart will alchemize all old, shameful stories into diamonds of laughter and tears. Cashing in this trove will transform the heavy bag of sorrows your ancestors carried into tokens of priceless light.
Each Sunday here at UUCUC, we make space to share the joys and sorrows closest to our hearts. Together, we'll hear our blessing song, Long Time Son, and while we listen and sing, you are invited to write down your joys and sorrows that you would like to share. I will then read aloud those shared messages so that we can celebrate each other's joys and sorrows. Joyful news, I should say, and support each other's griefs. If you wish to, please send your personal joys and sorrows you're carrying and wish to share either on a card or in the email message to joysandsorrows@uucuc.org. During the pause, while folks are writing and music is playing, those who wish to can also come forward and take a moment at our altar table or at the table near the back in the center of the sanctuary. Many Sundays we have candles to light, but this Sunday we have glass beads and flower petals. You are invited to place into a shared vessel of water. The stones will sink to the bottom and ground us. The petals will float, balancing delicately between water and air. So if you wish to, come forward now and place your stone or flower and leave your card in the basket. Wow, we have quite the joys and sorrows today. They keep covered. All right, we'll do our best. Also paying attention to time. Okay. A joy from Marcia Clenard. This afternoon, Sunday at 3 p.m., the University of Illinois Horatio Society, Chamber Singers, and Orchestra will be performing in Cranert's Great Hall. I am so happy to be singing along with my granddaughter Kaylee, plus MR, Bethany, and Janet Rebel Barrett. Rebel, sorry. Come hear us sing Leonard Bernstein's Chichester Psalms, plus a newly composed piece. In addition, the orchestra will be performing Shostakovich's Ninth Symphony. A sorrow from Peggy White. This is to update my message that my husband, David Barber, passed away at 2:30 a.m. today at Carl Hospital. And this was sent today. For those who don't know, these are longtime members. A sorrow joy. My brother Richard is quite ill and suffering with pancreatic cancer. I am with him in Cincinnati on this joyous day in our church. Sorrow morphed into joy when he found a great deal of comfort and ease after we unearthed together a medical error that could change his experience much to the better on the path to end his life. Joy, watching from here and missing you. From Judy Rowlett. A joy from Claudia and David Gross. We are delighted with our new home in Clark Lindsay and with the community of Clark Lindsay. Last Wednesday, when we accepted an offer to purchase our home on Galen Drive, the offer was with terms somewhat better than we had hoped. A joy from Sam Bashir's. For my wife, Lynn Wiley, who completed the half marathon yesterday with Jennifer Green. And for the thousands of all ages and abilities who got out and did some distance. A sorrow. We were sad to learn this week that Gwen, our lovely little guinea pig, has cancer. She has been a beloved and very sweet member of our family, and we will miss her when her time with us is over. From Charles and Caitlin. A sorrow from Alicia Buskirk and Duncan Pettengill. Despite a brand new roof being put on our building this past week, multiple gallons of water poured through our ceiling last night. We foresee much laundry in our future. A joy from Lynn Wiley. Yesterday was the Christie Clinic 10K and half marathon, and it was a fabulous day. Thank you to the so many that made this possible. Jennifer and I finished the half. Phew! But it was the cheers, the water, and the absolute community that propelled us forward, laughing and dancing to get to the finish. Another joy from Panay Beckett. As of 1:21 a.m. Eastern Time, I made another fantastic trip around the sun. I'm 78 years young. A joy from family Pitzel. Joy as we welcomed a cat into our family. Her name is Nori Brandyfoot. A sorrow from Kim Scheffner. Sorrow, a new complication with the surgery. Joy, my job is going well with good people, and I'm blessed with some good friends. A sorrow from Chris Hanauer. for the passing of my cousin Joan. She was a wonderful, quirky personality in our buttoned-down family, and though she lived a long life, she will be missed. A joy from Becky Densmore. Feeling overwhelmed gratitude for each and every member of the Settled Search team. Angie, Chris, Dave, Pat, Janet, Tanya, and Wendy, you rock. A concern, my kitten Juniper has surgery tomorrow and will need to be separated from her brother Stardust for 2 weeks. Please keep us in your thoughts. A joy from Pugs. My wife is finishing up a transformative and wonderful candidate week at UUCUC. I thank you for making her experience so incredible. And there's so many more. I don't even know what to do because we are trying to keep on time. I probably need someone's guidance on if I should continue or... Oh, yeah, sure. That would be wonderful. Okay, would you like to go first?
We can alternate. From Linda Owens, joy for the singing of the white-throated sparrows that has filled my mornings these past few weeks.
A joy from Avalon Ruby. Joy to be back as a visitor this time around, and so grateful to have seen so many. The rally for transgender.
From Jerry Fry, joyous time celebrating Bethel AME Church's 160th anniversary last night.
Another joy from Beth S. Yay! I received a grant to finish my dissertation.
From the Herzogs, we have much to be grateful for this week. Good defensive driving kept our oldest kiddo safe when a reckless driver plowed into him. Our family van did not survive, but the young man is okay. We are also so grateful for the U of I Vet Hospital, which provided life-saving care to our pup after he got a hold of something toxic. Finally, we celebrate our middle kiddo who legally changed their name this week and has been surrounded by loving, supportive community. How grateful we are.
Anonymous joy, so joyful to have heard that truly amazing duet just moments ago.
A joy from Maureen Warren. Our children had a friend sleepover for the first time.
A joy from Melissa. Wow, thank you, MR and Bethany, for sharing your gifts with us. That performance was amazing.
A sorrow from the Watsons. A family friend is losing a beloved pet tomorrow. Fraser is the goodest boy and will be missed dearly. We wish him well over the Rainbow Bridge.
I have a joy and a sorrow from Pat McLeod. Sorrow. I am sad I will not be hanging with the Settled Search team tomorrow at 7 p.m. My heart is with you. The joy, so much joy that this day has arrived. Yes.
From Debbie Rugg, a sorrow. Learned today we lost the first of my dad's North Dakota cousins, Nita. From Christine Cahill, joy. Starting leg 2 of my retirement tour, going to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival next week, then spending time in Virginia with 2 college roommates I haven't seen in 25 years. Then a night in Columbus, Ohio with daughter Emmy, who I haven't seen since last June. From Reverend Denise, Reverend Matt and I are thrilled to see our gifted and beloved friend preach her call sermon today. You are blessed to find one another. You all are blessed. Y'all are blessed. Sorry. From Bobby and Warren Ruby. Today is our 57th wedding anniversary. And finally, from Gail Huding, I am so glad to be finished with my cataract surgery. Things are going well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sally. And if we missed your reading of Joy and Sorrow this morning, we will be sure to print it in the e-news this week. And thank you all so much.
I know I said last week we would get out right on time this week. But confession, I also think time is made up. What even is a minute? We will do our best because I know we have important business to take care of. In the mid-1930s, in eastern Tennessee, when my grandmother, my mama, was only about 10 years old, a carnival came to their town for the first time. And she was so excited, and even though her family was very poor, she spent weeks doing odd jobs for neighbors in order to earn a little money to be able to go to the carnival. And when the day finally came, with great anticipation, she put on her best Sunday dress, took her store of pennies into the little pocketbook she had, and she walked alone through a field and woods about a mile to the edge of town where the carnival had set up. And she marveled at all the different kinds of people she had never even imagined, at seeing animals she'd only read about in books, of getting to taste food and play games she'd never had before. And she says that she doled out her little store of pennies until they were all gone. And then, even though it was midday, she closed up her pocketbook and she turned around and walked that mile back home. I loved hearing that story when I was a little girl. I loved imagining my grandmother as my age. And even 50 years later, telling me that story, I could still hear the wonder and excitement in her voice. And so I wondered, why didn't she stay longer? It doesn't cost anything to look at stuff. But I remember my grandmother said some variation of this when I asked. My pockets were empty, so I had to go home. You see, my grandmother, like so many of us, had been learning some lessons, both really explicit ones, but also some lessons implied about what it means to show up, what it means about how much you are worth. And one of those lessons was a shadow side, I think, of Southern hospitality, because she was learning, of course, in her Eastern Tennessee town, that you have to greet everybody you pass, whether you know them or not. You have to welcome everyone who knocks on your door, whether you're expecting them or not. And you've got to always show up with full hands, and there is no whether or not. And while in my own childhood I appreciated that kind of openness and hospitality, the shadow side that my grandmother learned and unwittingly, I think, passed on to me was that you are never enough just as you are. Don't show up empty-handed because you have no worth if you don't have something to give. Don't be a taker. Always, always be giving. And part of giving, especially in my childhood as I experienced it, meant that you had to be good. And being good, ironically, meant somehow being nice, which meant biting your tongue even if there was something you noticed that was wrong, but you don't want to upset people. You don't want to make people uncomfortable. That's not nice. You can't be authentic. You can't be real. You got to hide parts of yourself if you want to be loved, if you want to be accepted. I don't think my grandmother or anyone in my family meant to teach me that lesson, but it was a lesson I learned. It was a lesson so many people, including my grandmother, had learned. It was a lesson maybe some of you learned. You are not enough as you are, and you better hide parts of who you are if you want to be good enough. And part of that, you're not good enough, you gotta hide who you are, also means that you're gonna suffer. And you know what? That's okay. God wants you to. Suffering is good for you. Suffering makes you stronger. And you better be thankful for whatever it is you're suffering, because things could always be worse. And I knew in my childhood that things were worse for a whole lot of people. Things had been worse for people in my own family. Because while my grandmother was telling me wonderful stories of her life, she also, because she loved me and trusted me, told me stories of her sorrows and grief. And she told me stories of her very violent father, and of how her mother, sometimes bruised and bloody, would tell the children not to say anything to anyone in case something else bad happened. And my grandmother and her siblings, like so many abused children, learned they had to be silent, that they had to just accept things. And they learned, partly because of the religious tradition in which they were steeped, that the way God is the head of us, man is the head of the household. And so whatever the head wants has to be good for you. And it is so damaging when we have those kinds of stories, when we learn those kinds of lessons. It damages all of us. And oh, my beloveds, lest you think I'm picking on Christianity here, I am not. And while that embedded theology, that's what I call it, the embedded theology of salvation that saves us, that atonement and suffering are what saves us, that kind of theology is definitely deeply woven into Christian traditions. It is not all of Christianity, and it is certainly not the message of Jesus. And my grandmother never trusted men a day in her life, but you all, she loved Jesus. Because you know what Jesus had told her? Love God and love your neighbor. And while she never quite felt she was good enough for other things, what Jesus said was a bar she could meet. But suffering as salvation, atonement as something we all just have to pay to live on this planet, is woven into the fabric of Western thought. It's woven into the fabric of American culture. It finds its way into our families. It finds its way into our personal relationships, and it harms us all. Suffering as somehow holy is what led to the enslavement of people in the service of profit. It is what leads to genocide. It is what leads to so many of those beautiful trans and queer kids I saw yesterday sharing stories of being told they are not enough and shouldn't exist. That is a suffering theology, my friends, and it does us all harm. There are answers to it, of course. Here in our tradition and in others, the idea that we can't show up empty-handed isn't a universal one. I have friends who are Sikh practitioners, and I love their tradition of serving langar, which is a community meal, and they don't ask, are you good enough? They don't ask, are you worthy? They don't even ask, are you hungry? Are you poor enough that I need to serve you? They say, you are human and you are welcome and you deserve food. Because we all do. The idea that we have to be nice to earn our way and make people comfortable, there are answers to unlearn that. We don't have to keep that lesson in our bodies and flinch away from truths. And the fact is, in the context of both broader societal inequities and the injustices we enact on each other in our interpersonal relationships, silence is violence, you know that. We can't afford to stay comfortable. We can't afford to be nice. We can't afford to swallow our truths. We need to be brave. We need to be brave because people's lives, including our own, are at stake. Unlearning the lessons that harm us, attending to the theologies that are embedded in us is holy work. And yes, it calls us to justice in the world. It calls us to creating equity. It calls us to dismantling systems of oppressions. But my beloveds, it calls us to take care of our own spirits. I think you have realized, deeply committed to Unitarian Universalism. I am in it for the long haul. I am here as a ministerial candidate to say I believe that what we offer as a faith community is an answer to the lessons that so many of us, whether we were raised in religions or not, and by the way, I've been just so delighted by how many lifelong UUs I have met this week. But whether or not we were raised with religion, whether or not we consciously were told we're not enough, that is the message our culture tells us over and over. Don't show up empty-handed. You have to be productive. You have to be nice. And if you suffer along the way, good. We, in our faith movement, here and now, in a living, transformative tradition, have an answer to those kinds of theologies. We offer lessons that help us unlearn that and learn something new. And when we center love not as a noun, but as a verb that calls us to action, when we center that, and then take action together to say, where is the injustice and how do I answer it? What actions can I take? Yes, with others who are also trying to make more justice. Where is the generosity I can foster that lets people know they are welcome here, whatever their gifts are? When we recognize the interdependence of each of us as a spiritual practice, and yes, as the social justice work we do beyond these walls, but we bring it here to say we are interdependent on one another. My life, my thriving is dependent on your thriving. Then we can begin to let go of the old lessons and embrace some new ones. And I think all the time, in my years now as a Unitarian Universalist, this faith movement, I was drawn to it. You heard me say, because of reproductive rights work. I was drawn to it in my home church because I could see the work they were doing in the public square, because I saw their commitment to their kids, their commitment to OWL, which saves lives. But you all, I was drawn because my spirit was hungry to be in a community that could look at me and look at others and say, you are enough right now as you are. You in your body are enough, and you are holy, and you are beloved. And how different might my grandmother's life have been, and her mother's and her grandmother's, as she had been raised in a culture that made that real. How different will our lives be and our children's lives be if we make that real by showing up every day and practicing it. And it's hard. I don't know how to do it all the time. I don't have answers. I just have a lot of questions, and I have a lot of hope that we will figure it out together. Because what I do absolutely believe is that inside each of us is a little child, alone on a road with hands that are clenched and empty pockets, longing to be loved and longing to be enough. And we meet that child every day when we look in the mirror, and we meet that child when we pass strangers on the street, and we meet that child here in this community, and we are called to answer that child with love and to say, yes, bring your empty hands because you are enough as you are. Bring your empty hands and let your heart be overflowing with love. And if we are not making space for that, if we are not doing that, then let us help each other move towards it. We won't do it perfectly, but we will. We will, my friends. We will make that world where we are all beloved and enough. We will make it real together. May it be so.
Now I invite you to please stand, if standing is comfortable for you, and join in singing hymn number 311 in the gray hymnal. Let it be a dance, verses 1 and 3.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. May the music say the words and fill the sky with singing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. I'll sing verse 3. Morning star comes out at night. Without dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
As we close, I want to invite you, as I did last week, to enter into a spirit of prayer with me. So if you take a deep breath wherever you are in this room, in any of the rooms you're joining us from, and be in your body for a moment as you breathe. And I'm going to invite you, if you can and are able, to open up your hands, palms up, and feel the air, or imagine it on your palms. And imagine, too, the weight of all that you are carrying, of all the lessons you have learned, your history and your ancestors' history, and some of that, my friends, is precious and holy and sustains you, and some of it we know may cause us harm. And whatever is heavy and hard, I want you to imagine that dissolving out of your hands, being carried away, perhaps miraculously, on a breeze. And I want you in this moment to accept into your empty hands this blessing from Spirit, from divine, from whatever you name that which connects you beyond yourself, and know that what you are receiving today and always is love. Amen. I forgot we have to extinguish the chalice. Thank you, Angie Urban. And so we say together as we release this flame, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you so much, Beth. All right, as Pat McClard takes our candidate away, I have some very important instructions before we get into our postlude. Immediately following the postlude, we will have a brief break in Fellowship Hall. Please feel free to grab a cup of coffee and a light snack and use the restroom. Then we ask that members of the church return here to check in for the congregational vote. The meeting will start at 12:45. Oh. Please, 11:45. Where we will vote to call Beth as our next settled minister. For those online listening and watching via live stream who are unable to be physically present with us, we ask that you switch to that Zoom link that Chris mentioned earlier following the close of this service. Thanks, everyone.